So welcome everybody. This is the 22nd of February 2023 delivery system sync and demo. We have one discussion point. Vladimir, feel free to start with it.
Yes, I wanted to bring this to the team. Basically, we started this epic for measuring inefficiency of the pipeline. And I looked at what we have for observability in general and came up with idea which is a little bit out of scope of that particular topic. But it doesn't mean this particular topic, this particular epic, sorry, shouldn't be the part of like the bigger picture. I think what we have now as dashboards and the data on this dashboard is the dashboards, they are kind of sparse and they are not connected to each other. And we also have data data on the different sources. We have Jaeger, we have logs in Elasticsearch, and then we have dashboards on Grafana. My idea is to rethink a little bit how we do observability for the delivery, and make it more interactive, I would say. And we might have like an entry point for delivery observability. And I suggest that entry point might be the dashboard for DORA metrics. Because DORA metrics is kind of industry standard for delivery observability and for the performance of development team and performance of features hitting production. So we might have like on the entry point, like we have for example, if we look at Grafana, we see SLA, general SLA for the entire GitLab. We can have the similar approach. We can have like the overview dashboard, which will show the DORA metric, and this DORA metric will show us the health of the delivery in general. And then we can, from that dashboard, we can have drill downs for particular deployments and infrastructure and deployments and the toil and whatever, like having the entry point as a DORA metrics, and then have a tree of the dashboards that you can use to drill down for each particular I don't know, spike. So we see like, okay, we have some spikes in DORA metrics. What is the cause of that? And we just click and drill down to particular deployment dashboard. And the deployment dashboard will show you the info of each particular deployment. And in this deployment dashboard, you can see like where we are spending the time, what is the time took for the manual steps for that particular deployment, for that particular deployment, how long each step takes, and etc. etc. This is like the idea of observability in general, but also one important thing is to consolidate the data sources, because if you have tons of different tools spread across multiple accounts, and you know, like you have you need to switch from one tool to another in order to find the logs for that particular spike, for example, it's getting things more complicated, and sometimes you don't see the whole picture. And another idea would be to have correlations between metrics, logs, and traces, and connect all these data sources to Grafana and show correlations on this dashboard, on deployment dashboard, for example. So if you want to see why pipeline failed, for example, you can click and see the logs of that pipeline. Or if you see you have a spike in the time it took to deliver to run the pipeline, you can just click and see the spans, like a tracing spans for that particular pipeline. So that's all kind of doable. It requires to have a little bit of research on Grafana features. Like I know that Grafana has Loki and Tempo, and it's kind of integrated into Grafana, but I don't know how it actually works with Elasticsearch and pure Jaeger. I think Jaeger can be added as and Elasticsearch, they both can be added as data sources. And we also have Jaeger as a public endpoint, so we can easily hook it to like main Grafana. I don't know why we have observe.gitlab.com, honestly, and what's the purpose of this of this project. Yeah, like the question is, if we connect those data sources to Grafana, will we achieve with the current version and the current like open source Grafana that we have? Will we achieve the features there and the result that we want to achieve? So this is my ideas of observability, and I already wrote everything in the issue, and here I just wanted to bring this up and discuss. So,
Vladimir, can you link to the issue, please?
Sorry, say it again.
Can you link to the issue that you? So to the
Yeah.
agenda, can you link your issue
Sure.
to the agenda?
Yeah.
On the observe.gitlab.com, correct me if I'm wrong. I think, Ruben, you are aware of that. I think that one should be part of the product itself, a part of the product that the monitor stage group, especially the observability one, is actually working on. So that one should be also what we're going to offer to customers. So it's different than our internal infrastructure monitoring.
Yeah, that's different from the infrastructure Grafana instance, and they are working towards integrating it into the main product.
So there are two different kind of products we have right now. So one is like infrastructure monitoring, and I think is correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, is the one we are using for delivery, and it's everything that is related around the dashboard endpoint. Plus, this one is what we actually offer to end customers, right? So everyone that's a customer of SaaS is going to access the observability, the monitor functionality through one of these endpoints. Observability.gitlab.com is one of those.
I looked into. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that currently in the observe.gitlab.com, the product offered by observability group, only traces are there. Everything else is in the infrastructure Grafana instance.
Yeah, I also looked at DORA metrics feature that is available for GitLab, and I also looked at like in general, observability, like a GitLab observability is for particular project. So also the DORA metrics they show in like the project DORA metrics, so project observability. But I think here we need to have more kind of general, and it's also DORA metrics on GitLab doesn't support drill downs. So that's kind of, we either need to, make observability better for GitLab itself as a product, or use the tooling or use our standard dashboards in order to achieve this.
Any other comments? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
We'll probably have to use our standard dashboards because making contributions back to the product, while good, it takes a lot of time because they have to think about like all customers, not just us.
But that being said, that would be a great improvement for anyone who consumes that product. So like it would be a huge welcome probably for that team in general.
Yeah.
Vladimir, overall, your proposal I thoroughly enjoy. I would love to see this like all the way through to fruition. I just suspect it's going to take quite some time. I think I'll look over the issue after this meeting. I'm a little busy with release management, so I can't dedicate a lot of time to it at this moment in time. But just some quick notes based on what we discussed in this meeting so far. It sounds fantastic. I would love for us to just continue using the Grafana instance that we leveraged today, just because we already know right now that the observe.gitlab. whatever is kind of immature, I guess, for us at this quick moment. And I think if we could develop what we want to see in there, we actually have the capability to showcase what we want the Observe team to provide for us, which I think is a good opportunity. And then the other stuff related to, creating a single, like, I guess, in my words, like a single pane, a dashboard, I guess, for like an individual deployment. I think that's a fantastic idea. I've always wanted something like this. In fact, I've had in my mind, like, I would love like a list of all the deployments for the given day, and I click on like a link that just gives me a dashboard of what that deployment is doing today. Like, I love that concept. I love that idea. I think the challenge that you're introducing to this is bringing all the logs from other sources into that. And that's going to be very challenging because of a few reasons. One is simply the access provided. Like, we don't give developers access to our ops instance or specific areas of our ops instance for a very deliberate purpose. So we need to think through which logs we try to expose and obviously how to expose that, because I don't think Grafana is going to have a way to reach into CI logs to get the appropriate information. And on the same token, we leverage Elasticsearch, but I think what we could do with the Elasticsearch is at least provide made filters that make access to Elastic as a good iterative solution, and if we could figure out how we could rope that stuff into Grafana.
I looked at that, and we already have Elasticsearch data sources in Grafana, but we don't have ops. We don't have ops at all. So we might want to add it, but as you mentioned, it might be, since it's like developers are limited to view ops logs, then it might be some problem. I agree, but can we just limit who can access the dashboard itself? Is it possible with Grafana?
So are we sure that logs are not accessible by other developers? So I know the actual job logs are not accessible by most developers, but the logs in Elasticsearch, I think, are accessible.
The comment I had specifically was our deploy logs from deployer and the K8s workloads.
We don't send deploy logs, like we don't send the plain deployment log to Elasticsearch anyway. We only send release tools logs.
Yeah.
And release tools logs, honestly, they are pretty useless, honestly. I would love to have like a full deploy logs, but I'm not sure in terms of kind of who can access that, and we need to investigate. But because like technically it's very easy. You just add yet another data source, and you have all the logs that it's needed, and you just hook it to Grafana, and that's it. But as you mentioned, we might need to restrict certain logs. I honestly don't understand why, also, because kind of it's our developers, we love them. We want to let them see the logs, so they have access to our code as well, and we have access to their code.
So there was a big discussion about why this needs to be locked down, the logs. I mean, I think now maybe a year back. I'll try to find the issue and post it in the agenda.
Mhm.
Thank you, Roman.
Actually, going back to that, do we actually have RBAC access over Grafana dashboards? I'm just curious.
Can you repeat the question, Jenny? Sorry.
Do we have like access control over the like RBAC permission model for Grafana dashboards?
I think it's possible to set the RBAC for Grafana, but I don't think we are using that. So I think
see.
you can see like every single dashboard it's available.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
based on a group.
It's connected
Sorry,
to the
who?
It's connected to the IAP inside of our Google project. So I think as long as you have access to the Ops Google project, which probably is everyone, I think you're just allowed access, if I recall correctly. It's been a long time since I've seen this.
Okay.
Yeah, and coming back to deployment dashboard, I think that this API, this idea of DORA metrics and drill downs and et cetera, this is like a more general and broader scope than the particular epic that we are currently working on. And I think that the outcome of this epic would be to either this deployment dashboard per deployment or multiple dashboards. So for example, Jenny already created the dashboard for the toil. But we can have as outcome of this epic, we can set the deployment dashboard with a select box where you can choose the deployment and see the metrics or logs from particular deployment. And yes, and then like next quarter, for example, or I don't know, next half a year, we built this kind of basement for the DORA metrics and drill downs, and hook these deployments dashboards to our DORA metrics dashboard.
Okay. So, Vladimir, can I ask you to extract the comment that you had on that epic to a new proposal issue, please, with all the details that you just listed today, explained to us today, and give us like what you see the value where it is, as you saw today, which kind of like ideal scenario you want to have. See, because maybe it is when we're going to work on that, we're going to transform that in Epic and and create various issues. But it would be great if we extract the comment and everything that you added today to the context of that in a different proposal issue, because I think it's the right place, and we have everything in one place where we can start to look at in the near future.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Anything else to discuss around that? No, then I think it's demo time. Jenny, the stage is yours.
Neat. I'm going to continue the conversation on observability by showing a quick demo. If I can find my tab. There we go. Oh God, Zoom. Why? So yeah. Made a little neat dashboard on release management toil, and basically it's pretty self-explanatory, but we can now have this view of like auto deploy retries per project, and then it gets a bit more granular with this table. It's per job. Now obviously this doesn't show when the values are 0, but there are a lot more entries in here. You can set this as like the default is 1 week for this dashboard right now. we can always change that. I don't know why this currently is not a correct drop down. I was looking into that, but basically you can set that as like 1 day, and then it like changes, it's retries per day basically. I think this might take an average for the last 30 days. I'm not sure what the correlation between this duration and this time frame is, but the basically equation used for getting this value simply uses this time frame. But for example, like if I set this date to, let's see, where is the 7 days? Like 7 days, and I do like 4 weeks, then it'll probably say it has no data. I don't know why it's still loading like this, but that's the only caveat that I really use this. And I think this is technically called the variable interval. So if you want to use something like 4 weeks, then you need to put this as something more than 4 weeks and so forth. But yeah, so far you can kind of take a look at which like projects or jobs require the most retries. This probably will help us focus more on like what has been failing the most, which is apparently QA reliable 5 out of 10. I don't know what is going on there, but we have like this view, and obviously we're going to expand on this. I'm thinking of I don't know, like something that will let us know what the difference is between like each week, for example, if that's what we care about. If like say like QA reliable jobs maybe like failed I don't know, like 8 times this week, but then like, last week it failed like 13 times, and then maybe we can keep like track of that somehow in the later issues. But yeah, just letting y'all know that this is now a dashboard. There was a discussion, or not really a discussion, it's a suggestion by Skarbek, by basically moving this to release management dashboard. And I think that's something that we can, yes, there are more entries now. But we can like discuss about that later, whether or not we want to just expand on this in order to present like a trend with the toil specifically, or just have this as like a central view of all of the charts and dash in the release management dashboard. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, suggestions, ideas, we're working on this epic. So yeah, let's discuss more about it. I'm hoping that this can kind of highlight what the release management toil really looks like on a week-to-week or maybe month-to-month basis. Yeah.
I think this time frame it's the rate period, right? You take this time frame and put it in the rate in the braces.
Yeah. So if I go here, this is the query basically.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the time
yeah.
frame. Mhm.
And I think I think we can set I think we can set predefined lists here. Like we don't really need to see like 1.5 days here. We can say predefined list like 1 week, 2 weeks, months, or something like that.
See, I tried that. If I share my entire desktop, give me a sec, and I can show you the code.
I was actually wondering if we can simply use interval over there instead of time frame, so that you just use the global.
That has a bit of a different like reaction to it when I did try using that. So that's why I just said I'm gonna use a time frame. But yeah, no, I did it like this. It's like I thought it would work because that's what I saw in the other parts of code. So then these are supposedly the presets, but I'll take a look at how that drop down actually works. I don't know. It's JSONet. JSONet messes with my head a lot. Yeah, so like if I put this as so if I put this to 7 days, so something like 7 days, So these are the values last 7 days, but
Can
then
you-
I
can you
thought
try-
if I,
Can you try to
Yeah.
put a dollar interval here? Maybe it, because dollar interval should, yeah.
Yeah.
It should actually, no,
No.
data should, and if you
Yeah.
change to, I don't know, 15 days or,
if I change this to 7 days, it shows the same thing.
Ah.
Like, yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
it's a bit, it's very finicky this way. And honestly, these two tables took me so, I probably lost half my hair doing this. So that's a whole different
there is also underscore range.
underscore range.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. I've never tried this. Oh, what is this?
That's,
think
I
the
guess
what's
that's the
interval?
range that you, I guess that's the range that you show, that you have on.
Then what's interval? Yeah, sure.
And
Then
if
we
you-
can just use
if you-
range.
If you choose the different range, that should show you.
Would
the
that
different,
work? 30 days.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
that
go.
works.
You already updated. Great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I guess
we can get rid this time frame and use range maybe.
yeah, but then so what I'm imagining for this entire dashboard is not just the highest number of auto deploy like basically this is just like I in my head this is step 1. And the priority is mainly to show like the trend with what are the top like auto like just auto deploy retries and seeing if we are reducing that number. So basically total number of retries, but also like the like our biggest pain point retries, right? So then I'm thinking in my head, in this overall dashboard, if I go back, that we would set this for something like 90 days. And then we would change like, and this would be like a week to week kind of dashboard. And then we would still have this variable in order to control these two tables. If like you're if you're understanding what I'm trying to say, I'm not sure if I'm being very clear, but basically I feel like if I set this to like a week, then we're not going to get that like trend metric. Because that's not all the like the information that they're going to gather, like the dashboard's going to
Sounds
gather.
like we need both a table and a chart because we do want the totals. But
Yes.
then we also want something that, like you said, kind of tracks the trend. And I think for that, the only option would be a line chart, right?
Terminology. Is
but,
the line chart like
The original thing you had, which was just a line chart that kind of showed
yeah.
over the course of time.
Yeah,
I
I feel
think
like
if we
that would
could
be
use-
really helpful.
Yeah, I think if we use range currently, like I didn't know about range, so I think that sounds good. I
Mhm.
wonder if the range would also work with the line chart as well,
Yeah, it
or
should,
we could
I
just
think.
modify the query.
So that's the thing, right? If I change this query to use range, then if I want to get a trend of like 90 days, then these values are also going to change to not just like last week, but the whole thing for the past 90 days.
Which I think is
Like-
fine because those are the
Okay.
totals. But then, like in a different section, we have the actual trend. So, like, hopefully, it's always going down, right?
know,
And
I
for the trend, do we care about week to week? Then we can just have that
Oh, okay,
static.
okay, yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
Ye-
I like that.
You know what I think? I think that we might, well, basically numbers for me personally, they don't tell me anything. I see those
Right.
numbers and I very, I don't understand if it's good or bad. I think that what would be really useful is to have to define kind of SLO what is our tolerance of these retries,
Mhm.
and this SLO should have a fixed range, like that, like we are tolerate that amount of retries per day or per week, and we set this is in stone, and we say like,
Yeah.
okay, this is our SLO, and we want to keep that like a less than SLO, like we have here, right? And
Yeah.
we want to show like a green number if we hit SLO and red number if we like over the SLO.
Yeah.
And
I
the
don't.
trend, like,
Yeah. That's. I was trying to find the type. Trying to find a graph like that. But you're saying like a graph like this with like a red line like crossing it, right?
yeah,
As like a
like this one, or
threshold.
if you go on top, you will see the numbers like this gprod 14, or these are color coded, right? That
Mhm.
means if it's red, then it's kind of it's bad. If it's green, then it's okay.
Right.
My kind of suggestion, I think it would be like more visible than just numbers.
Yes, I agree. That's what I was thinking when I was making this dashboard. It's like, oh, pretty numbers, but like,
I
what's
like
the
it, but like
trend? What does this
we
mean?
never want to retry though. So the SLO is technically 0. So it would
I
always be
mean,
red.
Well,
yes.
yeah.
But like we can reevaluate as we, work on it. And yeah, that's what I mean by like we want to have a line graph that eventually goes to 0 and for us to delete the dashboard. But yeah.
Another option would
how it
be
is now.
another option would be to set the baseline. Like we set the baseline, how many retries per month, for example, we have now,
Mhm.
and see the trend if it's like more than usual and less than usual,
Mhm.
and compare to the baseline.
Yeah, yeah. I
Something
think
else
those
that
are all
might also
really good suggestions. I'll write that as an issue if we don't already have something like that.
Something else that might also be beneficial, and I leverage this with the deploy health check dashboard, is just there's a column on the far right side that's just like a lengthy explainer as to what this chart is showcasing and what the numbers are attempting to showcase. This is not a standard, but you'll find this in other dashboards as well. I like it. I like what we got so far, though.
Yeah, very good, Gianni. Thank you very much.
Sorry you
looks
spent so
great.
much time on it.
No, it's just I spent about 30 minutes coming up with the tables manually on the playground of Grafana, and then many hours after that to try to convert that to JSONet because
Mm.
those documentation is non-existent.
It's
Yeah.
our own flavor of JSONet at this point. It's our own framework.
I mean, yeah, I gotta understand that first, and that even if I'm trying to figure out like what any of these things are doing, go to their API doc, and then their API doc has no examples. Anyways, I can go on for hours about this again, so I'm good.
Thank you. It's looking great. Jenny, why you don't also share it in the G-Delivery channel to see if someone wants to give some feedback already there, so maybe also orchestration team can have a look at that.
Yeah, for
Perfect.
sure.
Thank you very much. Anything else to demo or discuss in the recording? No.